Hello, welcome. My name is Jenny McFarland. I'm the conservation biologist for the Tucson Audubon Society and the coordinator of the Southeast Arizona Elegant Trogon Survey. Every year we do 5 different mountain ranges over 3 different weekends, and they tend to run late May into the very first weekend of June. And we do 5 different surveys, and volunteers can sign up for as few or as many as they would like. The third Saturday of May usually is the Atascosa Highlands count, which is an area west of Nogales. Then the last weekend in May is usually the Patagonia Mountains on Saturday, and then the Santa Rita Mountains on Sunday. And then the first weekend of June is when we do the Huachuca Mountains and the Chiricahua Mountains. And between those 5 mountain ranges, we do capture nearly all of the trogons that occur in southeast Arizona. So it's a really fun effort, and I encourage you to participate. And so right now we are in the Patagonia Mountains doing our trogon count. We're in Finley and Adams Canyon, and we have just pretty much wrapped up and are headed back to our car. But what you're seeing here is what many of our routes look like. This is a drainage in the Patagonia Mountains, and we've been walking kind of in the drainage sometimes, or sometimes along an old road, and we have been listening for trogons, recording all of our other bird species we encounter, and occasionally doing playback for trogons, where we play a trogon call to see if they answer. We've just done a full morning of this, moving through Finley and Adams Canyon, and we have had 2 pairs on one side of the road on that section of the canyon, and then another pair in this section of Finley and Adams Canyon. So these most of the surveys we do are this sort of what we call canyon transect, where you're moving through an area all morning and recording the trogons you find. And then a few of our areas like Madera Canyon in the Santa Ritas and South Fork of the Chiricahuas, we do stationary survey for the most part. There's always some exceptions. So some routes work more like what I did today, where you're moving through a canyon. But our stationary counts we do in areas that are very dense with trogons. So like Madera Canyon, famous for its numbers of trogons. We have people kind of little territories, and we kind of have a midpoint where you hang out at that midpoint for most of the morning, recording the time that you hear trogons up or down canyon. And then when we look at all the data sheets, we kind of get a sense of how many trogons there are looking at the various data sheets, because multiple teams will get the same trogons as they move through up and down these really dense canyons. But in areas like where I am right now, the Patagonias, where there's a lot of ground to cover, I got teams kind of doing a canyon all by themselves. There's a lot of these smaller canyons that get, trogons here and there. And these are the ones where we do the moving survey. So I got different types of opportunities for people based on your, preferences and abilities. I have ones where we can just kind of park you for hours by, the Santa Rita Lodge and Madera Canyon, which is very valuable to get exact times that you're hearing the trogon in that location. And then I have ones like this where they're more hiking, but different levels of hiking too. This has been a relatively easy hike all morning, and the weather's lovely, and we're getting trogons, 3 pairs. And if you notice too, from this habitat we're seeing here in the Patagonia Mountains, there is not a single sycamore in sight. We have had very few sycamores this morning, just a couple by the road, and we've had multiple trogons because they're a little more flexible in their habitat needs than I think a lot of people realize, where they'll use an area like this where there's a lush creek, big drainage right here, large oaks with woodpecker holes, and they will use this kind of habitat. I've seen them up high in certain places too, like in the Huachucas, where it's pretty much mostly all pine, but there's some flicker holes and a lot of insect prey food for them, so they will use that area. So we do get a lot of help for some of our surveys, like the Santa Rita Mountains. It takes a tremendous amount of people to do these surveys, to do 5 different mountain ranges in May and June, when much of our winter birding basis has left the area. So it's always a challenge getting enough people, and especially for this Patagonia Mountains survey. So if you do live in Tucson or Patagonia or Green Valley, I encourage you to give it a try and come check out the Patagonias. We usually get more trogons here in the Patagonias than I do in all of the Santa Ritas. Even though the Santa Ritas are so famous for trogons, I do tend to get a higher count of them in the Patagonias, and that is with not having enough people to do complete coverage. So even with that handicap, we're still getting usually more trogons here. It's an exceptional mountain range for Elegant Trogon and many other species. It's a beautiful sky island, wonderful important bird area. So I do encourage you to come on out and help with the Elegant Trogon Survey of Southeast Arizona. And if you're at all inclined for doing something a little more adventurous, to come on out and do the Patagonia Mountains one especially. Thank you so much, and make sure you check our schedule for this year to see the exact dates of the surveys. But I'd love to have you aboard this year to help us with our survey. Thank you so much.